Hi there, this is Dani, and the channel is You and Me Living Free. And today I'm going to talk about safety and bears, and for myself, taking things a little more seriously than I have in the past. So just as a disclaimer, first of all, listen, I did my own research. You have to do that too. I have never had an encounter with a bear. I've never even seen one from a reasonable distance. I mean, not really, not out in the wild or anything. So don't take this as, you know, the gospel truth or anything. Do your own research. Of course, I just wanted to say that like you don't already know that I know. But we'll have to be responsible for like what makes us feel safe and secure. And so I started planning this trip, and I knew I was going through the Rockies and Yellowstone and out in Montana, and I realized I was going to be in bear country for basically the first time in all my camping and everything in my experience. And so I knew I needed to do some research. I knew I needed to kind of prepare myself for this. Oh, nature, can you hear that? That's awesome. I'm at Flathead Lake in Montana right now. Anyway, so the first thing was research, right? I watched a ton of videos, got recommendations for products and everything. I decided to go with a couple of different things. And that is, the first one is just a horn, right? To let bears know, you know, because one of the things you learn in research is, of course, you know, no bear wants to attack or eat a person. It's only when they feel threatened, they get surprised. There's certain things that come together, right? It's usually the food or the surprise. They've got cubs around, something like that, leading up to an attack. Another thing I learned when I was doing my research, which is really fascinating, is that bear attacks on people are truly rare. Whenever there is one, we usually hear about it, right? And it is tragic. But what happens much more often is, you know, we get careless at campgrounds and things like that, and the bears start coming around for food. And then, of course, they remember a food source like for a very, very, very long time. So then they keep coming back, and then they aren't deterred when you're like yelling and trying to get them out. And then they have to be euthanized, right? Or they have to be taken away to somewhere else, or like with black bears, as I've been reading anyway, there's such an overabundance of black bears. Even zoos and refuges and things like that don't want them, so they're euthanized often. And actually, I'm only a couple of days past being at Glacier National Park, and there was just a black bear there euthanized in much the same situation that I just gave. So this is for my protection, that I wanted to be bear safe and secure, but also for theirs, you know. So one of the things I do that is the most basic is simply, you know, when I'm on a hike, because I feel like there's two really vulnerable times, probably when I'm out hiking by myself, because almost all of the hiking I do is solo. But also, when I am out there solo, I'm usually on a trail that's pretty well trafficked. Usually, sometimes I find myself not. At the end of this video, I'll share another quick video at the end, some reel that I shot when I was at Yellowstone, and I took a longer hike than I realized, and I was in serious bear country without my bear spray. So like singing, talking, chanting, all of those things out loud, just so they know you are around. The other thing, of course, that I got for my protection was bear spray. And I watched a ton of videos on people actually using it and on the effectiveness of it. And it made me feel really good about it. I didn't feel good about spending $50 on something that will squirt for about 6 or 7 seconds. But when it comes right down to it, you know, what are you going to do? Have it or not have it? You know, if you actually need it, then the $50 is worth it. And if not, then it's worth it for the peace of mind. So I did my research, I bought my products, but here's the thing. Then I realized that I was also worried about, you know, of course, the food, right? When you're camping, the food. So, but since I sleep in my van, I am able to usually do my cooking away from my van, and also then simply close up all my windows at night. Usually when I'm sleeping in the van, I like to leave some ventilation, but whenever I am in bear country, I just close everything up tight. And then when I lock my doors, I'm essentially, essentially safe as much as you can be, right? Whatever. So those are some things, just some practical things that I have found that make me feel better. Let me collect my thoughts and then I'll come back with any other thoughts I have. Yeah, so the difference between black bears and grizzly bears, of course, I didn't know any of this. I think I had an inkling from watching, Discovery channels and things like that, but the videos helped me to feel like I could probably distinguish pretty quickly whether something was a grizzly or a black bear. Of course, the strategies initially are kind of the same for both, make noise and make yourself look big, but and no eye contact, especially with a grizzly. But then once they are charging, let's say I've expelled all of my bear spray and still charging like a black bear, I would try to fight back. I don't know what that looks like. And a grizzly, I would, curl up, cover my face and my face and my head, and literally try to survive, right? Then, after doing more research and starting to role play and everything, I talked to a couple of people who are in psychology, right, with psychology degrees, and they were saying that, we all have the fight, flight, or freeze instinct. And so when something happens, before our brain can even do anything like, oh, there's a bear, let me grab my bear spray, before our brain can even do anything, we're probably going to instinctually do one of those things. And I don't know where I am on that whole spectrum. I don't know what I would do. Totally scared. I'm afraid I would probably run. But I know that is the worst thing, so hopefully I'd be able to stop myself. So another thing is that, doing some research and buying the products is only part of it. Now, I had done those, but I hadn't done really critical steps, which I feel like are practicing. Being in a situation where I'm on a hike and say, okay, I see a bear out of the corner of my eye, what am I gonna do? And I reach for my bear spray. Well, one of the things I realized is that when I'm carrying my bear spray over here in the side of my backpack, I'm not gonna be able to get to it when I'm hiking, because I have to loosen the strap and pull it down a little bit before I can reach it. Now, maybe for some people you could reach around like this and grab it, you could reach back like this, but for me that doesn't work. So it was only in role playing that I really figured out, well, how am I gonna carry this? And then I thought, well, I could carry it kind of on my lanyard, because I always have my lanyard on, but then I decided it's too heavy, and it's always handy, that's great, but it's too heavy. So the solution that I came up with is this, for me. Right now, I just carry it in my hand, and when I get home, I'm going to have hiking poles. I'm going to start hiking with poles. And so many of you have suggested that to me, and so I bought some hiking poles. So then I'm thinking through and I'm role playing. Okay, so I've got my hiking poles and a bear comes. Then what am I going to do? So I decided that when I get home and get my poles, I'm going to get a belt, because this has a belt loop holder on it. But all the pants that I have are mostly elastic waist, and there's no belts, and there's no nothing to hook it to. So I'm gonna start wearing a simple belt, maybe like a fanny pack or a money belt or something that will be always around my waist, and then I'll put this in it, and then I can pull it out to use it, right? And I'll practice, and if pulling it out doesn't work easy enough, then I will rig my own harness, or I will take off this top strap part. I'll see what works. But the thing is the role playing is really like, it's getting your mind ready, plus getting your safety off, because the bear spray isn't going to do you any good if you're afraid and scared, and you realize you need to get your safety off, and you can't do it if you haven't practiced it, and you aren't comfortable with that motion and that thing. So So I just practice. I practice a lot. I go on a hike and I think, okay, here I am. I'm alone now. Most of the people are back there. I did a hike yesterday along the water and then up into the hills a little bit. And there were plenty of people when I was along the water, but when I took the turn to go up the hill, I was completely alone. And so I started singing, and I made sure that I was already carrying my bear spray in my hand, so that wasn't an issue. Another thing I wanted to mention is when I was tent camping at Glacier with my friends, I was in a tent by myself. Deb was in the tent next to mine. I was really concerned, and honestly, I realized how much of a feeling of security it gave me to be in my steel box, right? To be in my van makes me feel so much more secure because I know, I can drive away. I can honk my my alarm on my van. I can make noise. I can get away. Always back in, when I park, those kinds of things. And being in a tent made me feel very much more vulnerable. And of course you are. I mean, you are more vulnerable when you're in a tent. But I got through it. I did contemplate, honestly, spending the night in the passenger seat of Deb's big Toyota Sequoia, because it was a big, comfortable seat, but I couldn't put my feet up, and I really did debate, and it was kind of a fear I wanted to overcome. I wanted to see if I could sleep in the tent, be afraid and do it anyway, knowing that statistically the chances are just so small, and really trying to put it into perspective and things like that. So that helped. But yeah, being in this steel box does give me a feeling of security. But being out on a hike, I'm out there by myself, so I need to be alert, and I need to be ready for it. And I think that's the most important thing. And just being so proactive, just making some noise, talking, even making my videos. I feel like when I'm making a video while I'm hiking, part of it is helpful because I'm making noise, and anybody around would, any bear within hearing distance would know, would be able to tell and would avoid me. But also at the same time, I'm like, well, when I'm paying attention to the video, I'm not paying as much attention to my surroundings or anything either. So anyway, it's an ongoing process. I'm not done. I'm not, finished researching. I'm not finished learning and playing and role playing and asking the what if questions and trying to work things out. But I'm sure a whole lot better than I was. And like everything, it's a journey, right? Like everything, it's a process. You learn and you do a little better, and you grow and you do a little better. And so that's where I am, and that's what I'm doing, and that's all we can do. And so I think that's about all I have to say this beautiful day at Flathead Lake. Let me focus on the back. Oh, there you go. Now you can see it. It is gorgeous here. I have a picture. I have probably a video from yesterday where I was doing some hiking around here, and this lake is just, it's incredible. It's gorgeous. If you ever get a chance, Flathead Lake. It's in between Missoula and Glacier National Park, and it's fantastic. Anyway, you made it to the end of another video. You deserve a medal, and I appreciate you, and I will catch you next time. Bye. Okay, so these are the signs from the trail that I was on in this video I'm going to show you. These are the scariest bear signs I saw anywhere, and I went on this stinking trail without my bear spray. Now, you already know I made it out alive, but this is just a couple of minutes from that hike that I thought I would share for anyone who's interested. Thanks for watching. Okay, so I'm going to keep talking to myself as I do this trail. This is the Ice Lake Trail. From the picture, from the sign, I thought that it was a nice long trail, but I thought that there was a kind of an overlook right as we got off the road. But I've walked maybe half a mile and no overlook, and of course I didn't bring my bear spray because I didn't think I'd need it to go to a little overlook. And here I am a half a mile in when the biggest sign of all that I've seen that said, watch out for bears, was just what I passed on that big sign. So, as I take the video, finish up this little hike, I'm just gonna keep talking. Do. So bears hear the sound of my voice and just turn away. This would be better for everybody. Because can you even imagine being attacked by a bear and dying that way? I don't know. It's okay. I've seen The Revenant, so I kind of can. And I can't really think of much of a worse way to go. So I'm just gonna keep talking. I'm gonna stop the video now, but I'll just keep talking and walking. But